So welcome back, Patriots, and if you're just finding this channel, you picked one hell of a day to show up. We're living through history right now. Here's what I'm breaking down in the next couple minutes. First, the military operation itself and how they pulled it off with 0 American casualties. Second, the 2020 federal indictment everybody forgot about that's now coming back to haunt Maduro. Third, why the Democrats who've been cozy with socialist regimes are absolutely losing their minds right now. And fourth, and this is a big one, what this means for Trump's promise to destroy the cartels. So if you want to stay on top of stories like this, and mainstream media obviously will spin this into oblivion, hit subscribe right now. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. Let's get into it. All right, so let me paint you the picture of what went down early this morning. Around 2 a.m. Caracas time, residents started hearing explosions. Not just one or two, we're talking about a coordinated military assault involving air, land, and sea forces. Trump just held a press conference at Mar-a-Lago, and I watched the whole thing, took notes, the whole 9 yards. Here's what he said. This was a spectacular assault using our magnificent military might. No U.S. service members were killed. No equipment was lost. Think about that for a second. Delta Force, America's most elite counterterrorism unit, flew into a hostile capital, extracted a sitting head of state and his wife, and got out with a scratch. That's not luck, folks. That's American dominance. Now, I was running an errand early this morning when I first saw the alert pop up on my phone. And I'm not going to lie, my first thought was, no way, this can't be real. Because think about it, when was the last time America did something this bold and this decisive? Can you even remember? Trump compared this operation to past strikes on Soleimani and al-Baghdadi. That's how he referred to Abu Bakr Baghdadi, the ISIS leader. I just love how Trump always disrespects the terrorists by mispronouncing their names. But here's the difference. Those were one-on-one drone strikes. This is capturing a head of state and announcing we're going to run his country until there's a safe transition. CBS is reporting that Delta Force executed the raid. For those of you who don't know, Delta Force isn't your standard military unit. These are guys who handle the missions that are too sensitive and too dangerous, or quite frankly, too politically explosive for anyone else. According to Trump's statement, Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores are en route as we speak to the Southern District of New York, where they'll face a 2020 indictment for, and I quote, a campaign of deadly narco-terrorism. So let's pause for a second. Drop a comment down below if you think Maduro's finally getting what he deserves. But here's what nobody in the mainstream media is talking about right now. That 2020 indictment, it wasn't just some political statement. The Department of Justice under Bill Barr at that time charged Maduro with narco-terrorism, drug trafficking, and firearms offenses. The indictment alleged that Maduro and his cronies partnered with the FARC, those Colombian terrorists, to flood the United States with cocaine. So let me read you something directly from that indictment, because this is important. For more than 20 years, Maduro and a number of high-ranking colleagues allegedly conspired with the FARC, causing tons of cocaine to enter and devastate American communities. Tons, not kilos, folks, tons of cocaine. And here's the kicker. Under the Biden administration, nothing happened with this indictment. It just sat there, collecting dust, while Maduro kept trafficking, kept oppressing his people, and kept thumbing his nose at America. You know why? Because the establishment, both parties, if we're honest, were too scared to do anything about it, too worried about international norms, too concerned about what the UN might say, and too afraid of being called imperialists. But Trump, he looked at that indictment and said, we're actually going to enforce this. Now let me connect another dot that's going to blow your mind. Remember when I covered Trump's master plan to crush the cartels? I told you back then that Trump was playing 4D chess. The media thought he was just talking tough about the border, but look at what he's actually doing. First, he started intercepting drug boats in the Caribbean. Trump claims they've knocked down 97% of drug imports by sea from Venezuela. He said each intercepted boat prevents approximately 25,000 American deaths. Think about that math. 25,000 lives saved, and we've intercepted dozens of those boats. Second, he hit Venezuelan docks where they load the drugs. That was last month. It was a pure CIA operation. And now he went straight to the source. He got Maduro himself. So this isn't random. This isn't reckless. This is a methodical campaign to destroy the infrastructure that's killing Americans with fentanyl. But the establishment media, CNN, MSNBC, even some of the folks on the right at Fox News, they're freaking out. They're calling it imperial overreach. They're comparing it to Iraq and Afghanistan. And you know what I think? Maybe, and just hear me out here, maybe those comparisons are deliberately missing the point. We're not nation building. We're not installing democracy. We're enforcing a federal indictment against a narco-terrorist who's been killing Americans for 2 decades. So pause for a moment. Tell me in the comments down below if you think I'm wrong. Now, if you're still watching this, you're going to love this next part, because what I'm about to show you is exactly why this terrifies the left more than anything Trump has done yet. So why does this matter? Why should you care that some Venezuelan dictator got arrested? Because this isn't just about Venezuela. This is about whether America still has the spine to protect itself. This is about whether we're going to let narco-terrorists operate with impunity a couple hundred miles from Florida, or whether we're going to actually do something about it. So let me be completely real with you for a moment. I've been covering politics for years now, and I can't remember a single time when an American president did something this unapologetic, this bold. And that's exactly what has the establishment absolutely terrified. Think about the pattern. Obama negotiated with dictators. Biden negotiated with dictators. They talked about diplomatic solutions and de-escalation. All the while, Americans died by the thousands from fentanyl poisoning. So what did Trump do? He arrested the dictator and said, we're running your country now. Now, I know what some of you are thinking because I've been seeing some of these comments in some of the other videos. But aren't we supposed to, as America First, just stay out of other countries? And that's a fair question because there's legitimate tension right now within America and specifically the MAGA movement on this point. So let me be more precise about this because I think it's more nuanced than people realize. America First doesn't mean America only. It means putting America interests first. And having a narco state that's partnered with China and Russia, actively poisoning Americans just 500 miles off of our coast, that's a threat to American interests. The difference between this and Iraq is simple. We have a clear objective, enforce the indictment, a clear enemy, Maduro and his narco-trafficking network, and a clear exit strategy. Transition this to a legitimate Venezuelan leadership. We're not here to build schools or hold elections. We're there to stop drugs from flowing into America and to ensure that when we do that, these people that we can put back into power can actively manage their own country. And a lot of you have been asking me in the comments, so what happens next? Does this mean war? Does this mean occupation? Well, here's what Trump said, and I think this is important. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say forever. He didn't say we're installing our government. He said transition, which will imply handing it back to the Venezuelans. And here's something the media is completely ignoring. Trump also mentioned getting very strongly involved in Venezuela's oil industry. Now, the left is going to scream, "See, I told you, it's all about the oil." But think about this just logically for a moment, and I know that's hard for the left. Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world. Under Maduro, that oil has been completely controlled by a regime that partners with Russia, China, and Iran. If America gets involved in that industry and ensures that it benefits the American people instead of a dictator and cartels, how is that a bad thing? So let's pause for a moment. Drop a comment down below. What's the one word that describes how you feel about Trump capturing Maduro? The best comment I'll give a pin to. So let's talk about who's panicking right now and why. First, every socialist politician who's been praising Venezuelan socialism for the past decade is literally scrambling to delete their tweets. I'm talking about Bernie Sanders, AOC, the Squad. They've all had positive things to say about Venezuela over the years. Well, the successful socialist country they kept defending, its leader just got arrested for drug trafficking. Second, China and Russia are both allies of Maduro's regime. They invested billions into Venezuela. They've provided military support, and they just watched helplessly as America flew into Caracas and extracted their partner. So think about that message and what this sends to Xi Jinping and Putin. Your alliances mean nothing if they threaten American security. Your investments mean nothing if you're going to use them to undermine the U.S. And if you're partnered with someone who's killing Americans, we're going to come take them right in the middle of the night. That's not weakness, that's power. Third, and this one's huge, every cartel operating in Latin America just realized that Trump is serious. He's not just talking about border security. He's not just intercepting drug boats. He's going after leadership. He's enforcing American law regardless of where you're hiding. So if you're a cartel boss right now hiding in Mexico, you just got a very clear message about what happens when you poison Americans. So remember what I told you at the beginning. Maduro captured in the dead of the night by Delta Force. He's on the way right now to face federal charges for narco-terrorism. Well, now you know the full story. This isn't just a military operation. This is Trump following through on his promise to destroy the cartels at their source. This is America enforcing its laws and protecting its citizens at all costs, regardless of what the international community thinks. And here's my final thought. The establishment wants you to be scared of this. They want you to think Trump's being reckless or imperialistic. They want you worried about escalation. But you know what I see? I see a president who's looked at Americans dying from fentanyl poisoning, 75,000 plus per year, and decided to actually do something about it. I see a president who enforced a federal indictment that's been sitting on a shelf in DC for 5+ years. I also see a president who values American lives more than his international approval ratings. And that's why they're panicking. So here's what you need to do right now. First, smash this like button to show YouTube that people want real coverage of breaking news, not just the typical establishment spin. Second, drop a comment answering this question. Do you support Trump's decision to capture Maduro and temporarily run Venezuela? Just let me know, yes or no. I generally want to know where you stand. Third, subscribe and hit that bell icon. This story is developing minute by minute, and I'm going to be covering every twist and turn. The algorithm tries to bury channels just like this, so your subscription actually does matter. And fourth, this is crucial. Share this video with someone who needs to see the truth. Send it to your family. Post it on social media. The mainstream media is going to try to spin this story into oblivion. So if you want to understand how this connects to Trump's broader cartel destruction strategy, check out this video up above where I broke down the master plan weeks ago. So look, I know that some of you have concerns about intervention and nation building. Those are legitimate concerns. We've been burned before. But this isn't Iraq. It's not Afghanistan. This is enforcing American law against somebody who's been actively killing Americans. The question isn't whether Trump's being too aggressive. The question really is, what took us so long? So what we're watching is Trump reshape American foreign policy in real time. No more endless negotiations with dictators. No more watching our enemies operate with impunity. Just swift, decisive action when American interests are threatened. That's what America First actually looks like in practice. So stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember, we're not just winning, we're changing the game entirely. So God bless America, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay, let's go.